Welcome to week 4. In this unit, we're going to be looking at listening items for intermediate levels and higher. So B1 and B2 levels principally, according to the CEFR. This week's presentation is going to be a bit shorter, a bit quicker. A lot of it's going to be review. So we're going to have another look at the listening process model that we looked at in last week's presentation. Have a look at terminology that we use in specifications when we talk about those higher order listening processes, and then have a look at a couple of items which target those processes, one at B1 level and one at B2 level. This is the slide that we looked at last week. This is the listening framework, so to speak. And to sum up, it essentially means that at lower levels we're listening at word and utterance level, sentence level, as it were. Whereas as we go up towards higher level, it's more a question of constructing meaning across the text and constructing the discourse, so how the surrounding context influences what it means. So something may not necessarily be stated, but through the context, through assumed background knowledge, through inferring, we work out what people mean when we listen. And that's what we're focusing on this week, those higher level processes. So last week's items were focused very much at A1 and A2 level, which means that the tasks were similarly focused at word and sentence level. So now we're going to be looking at items which go beyond that. And so then, when we get to intermediate and higher levels, we need text and task which targets things such as paraphrasing. So when we talk about paraphrasing, this means, as I'm sure you're aware, that something's not stated word for word, but instead it's phrased slightly differently. So the words, the terminology, the phraseology, whatever, is different. So paraphrasing is one thing. It's also to do with meaning across sentences at this level. So when we paraphrase, we still may be operating at sentence level. So we have our key phrased in one way, and we have it phrased in one sentence in another way. So paraphrasing could essentially be at a lower level still. When we get to these higher levels, though, we're thinking more not only about paraphrasing, but meaning across sentences. So this is when, even if it is paraphrased, the key is still not contained in a single sentence or phrase, but we need to listen to an extended section of the text in order to either eliminate distractors or to hone in on what the key is. And if a key can be answered using information contained within a single sentence or phrase, then that's going to be an issue if your item is targeting higher levels. Inferencing is, again, something a bit different. It's not the same as paraphrasing. So paraphrasing, as we mentioned, can still be at sentence level, but crucially as well, the information is still actually stated. It may not be stated word for word the same, but it's still pretty much stated. Inferencing is understanding meaning that's not stated, and that's quite tricky to do. So it's not stated in any particular word or phrase, but it's only by reading between the lines or by getting an overall understanding of what a speaker is saying that we can get to the key. So this is what we mean by inferencing. It's not something that's actually stated at any point, but it's discourse level. So this is a very high order skill. And abstract meaning as well. This is something that comes up quite a lot in specifications at higher levels. So, as you are, I'm sure, aware, so we're referring to non-figurative things here, such as emotions, opinions, ideas, and if we are targeting something such as inferencing, then really our text has to be focused on something that's more abstract. It's very difficult indeed to get inferencing if your text is not abstract enough. So, for example, if we're talking about a school teacher or a museum guide who is giving instructions, then these are likely to be very concrete. It's just the nature of the interaction that that kind of information would be quite categorical and concrete. So it would be very difficult to write an inferencing task around something like that. We would need something where we're talking about opinion. Let's have a look at some examples. I suggest you pause the video here, have a look at this item so I don't need to read it out, and then I'll explain how it is working. So this would be an example of a B1 level item with paraphrasing. So at B1 level, it's still intermediate, it's still not an advanced level, so we're not quite getting into inferencing yet, but we do want to be getting into paraphrasing and meaning across sentences. So let's have a look here. The stem is Speaker B eats lunch, and the target, the key is while working. And how do we know it's while working? So at no point does Speaker B say, I eat lunch when I'm working, so this means the information is paraphrased. And also it's across sentences. So you can see here in bold, this information in bold is the information which contains the key. So the speaker mentions that they usually just have a sandwich. So a sandwich is obviously something that is quick. Also the phrase just a sandwich, that's also implying that it's something quick. And then the phrase here, I take it to my desk, that's another sentence. So between that, just a sandwich, I take it to my desk, we got paraphrasing across sentences, we've got meaning across sentences, and all this is indicating the key while working. And then they go on to say that they don't like a break during the day. So through all of this, we can get to the key. The underlined information, my boss says I should take a real break and often invites me to share lunch with him. So this is a distractor, so you can see that at the bottom with his, her boss. So we know it's not the option because the speaker says that they haven't taken up the offer yet, but the key is paraphrased and it's across sentences. So by listening to the whole text, we eliminate the distractors and we hone in on the key. This is now an example of inferencing. We're at B2 level now. So again, I suggest at this point you pause the video and take a moment to read the text, and then we'll talk about how the inferencing is working here. Okay, so the stem is what is the critic's opinion of the way the novel is written? And then the answer, it makes the book difficult to read. So notice how this person is talking about this writer's previous books. So the author is a vivid storyteller, and he writes in a deceptively simple style that makes the reader keep turning the page. Then the new novel takes him in a direction, a different direction. So again, we're inferring that it's coming away from this idea of being simple through that. Then we talk about a different style to the one we're used to. So We go back to a previous point in the discourse mentally, so it's no longer this deceptively simple style, it's something else. It's not stated exactly what it is, but we know it's not simple, whatever it is. So we can infer then that it's probably difficult. And then this person goes on to talk about the use of obscure words and how the reader needs to look up a lot of these words on nearly every other page. So it never actually says it's difficult at any point, but we're inferring. If you have to look up words in a dictionary, if these words are obscure, if it's a different style to what we are used to, all of this helps us infer quite easily that the book is difficult to read, even though it's not stated in as many words anywhere in the text. Thank you, as always, for your patient attention. If you do have any questions, of course, please post them in the comments below. Thank you.